Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Open Ecrime market commentary for the week of June 10th. My name is Toby Gennaro from Trade with Precision, and we'll just take a look at what the markets have in store for us this week. And we'll just get started here looking at the S&P 500. A lot of folks track the major U.S. indices here, looking at a broader range of what's going on in the markets. And just looking at the monthly chart really doesn't tell us anything different than what we've been looking at for a while. We do have a little bit of overextension from the moving averages, but we've just been moving up here for the last 7-8 months pretty strongly. Higher highs, higher lows. But on the weekly chart, a little different story. We've got had that first bearish indecisive candle, which kind of clued us into the fact that there might be a little deeper pullback. Once we got a break at the low of that candle, then all of a sudden we could look at that next pullback into that support level, which was 1594 on the higher time frames. So as we move down into the daily chart, we can see that a little bit better. We got that nice pullback, got in some lower highs, lower lows. Came just within a hair of 1594. I believe the low there was right around 1596, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 1596.50. And then you saw all of the buy orders really accumulating around that level, since that was the larger support level that everybody was interested in. And as you see, what happened last week, got to close out of a nice bullish candle right in and around that buy zone in between the 10 and 20 period moving average. So once we get a break of the high of that candle, which currently stands at 1645.75, once we get a break of the high of that candle, looks like we'll be back off to the races again and looking very bullish into this next market move. So right now we have a couple successive higher highs here on the daily chart, and once we break the high of that, if that happens, we'll have another high, and it looks like we'll be moving in the right direction here. As we move down to the 480 chart, you can see there's another level right in there around that 1645 level that we're flirting with right now, and so we might see a consolidation along there, and then potentially another push higher that'll actually give us the break of that weekly candle. And so the last time we had a break of a weekly candle was right here. Went on a pretty nice run, had another bullish candle set up right there on not even a pullback, it was basically just a sideways consolidation, bullish candle, and then took the next move higher. So market's looking pretty bullish here overall on the S&P 500, and that's what we're looking for. Let's take a look at some of the lower time frames and see if there's anything different here. Put in a high there on the 120, looks like we're moving back up into that level right around 1644. And nothing really different here on some of the lower time frames. Ever so slight divergence here on some of the lower time frames, but when you're coming out of the buy zone on the weekly and the daily charts, so these moves can be pretty powerful, and those blow through a lot of that divergence. So in looking at the markets here, things are looking pretty bullish, and again, we're just looking for those opportunities on the lower time frames now, looking for those pullbacks to get long once we get a break of the high of that weekly candle. And moving over to the small cap stocks on the Russell 2000 futures contract, again, nothing new here on the monthly chart, just higher highs, higher lows. But on the weekly chart, same pullback structure we saw on the ES. We've got a nice, basically a nice bullish candle there, just above the 10 and 20 period moving average. Didn't quite come down to touch that 10 period, but we're looking for these setup candles in and around this zone of the 10 and 20 period moving average. So it doesn't always have to be dead in the middle of that 10-20 period zone. So we've got a good looking candle right there, bullish. We just need a break at the high of that candle, which is currently right up around, the high is 996.10. So once we get a break at the high of that candle, it'll give us another bullish signal to look long this market. As we look on the daily chart, we can see that the market was kind of tempting us to pull back down to this major support level here right around 951, but didn't quite get there. The low that it put in was right around 961, so just within about 10 points, and got a nice bullish candle there, and then got the break of the high of that candle on the daily chart. So things are looking pretty bullish here on the daily chart, even though we have lower highs and lower lows. If we do get a break of the low of this weekly candle before we get a break of the high, then that would be a very bearish signal, and more than likely we'd be looking to take the market back down to this major support level of 951. But in looking at some of the other indices, like the Dow and the S&P, looks very likely that we're going to be moving higher from this point. Looking at some of the other time frames here, the 480 really doesn't tell us anything different in terms of some shorter term trades setting up. Don't really have anything setting up here on some of the lower time frames, except maybe at the 60-minute lower. looking to get long with some of those higher time frames. So any pullbacks into the moving averages, we're looking for the 50, the 20, and the 10 period moving average in alignment, trending to the upside. And if we get a break of the high of that weekly candle, then we'll be looking for these pullbacks on some of these intermediate time frames on the 120 and below. So keep an eye out for this week and look for some of those opportunities. If we get a break of the high of this candle on the small cap index, and chances are pretty likely that that we'll be moving higher in the near term. And taking a look at one foreign currency here, looking at the pound yen on the weekly chart is where we're really looking for the setup here. You can see on the monthly chart we have really this sideways market that's been in the range for a while, but most recently in the last 8 or 9 months, I really have a nice uptrend here, or at least higher highs, higher lows on the monthly chart, and you can see that pretty well on the weekly chart. But as you can see, a lot of these pullbacks right back into the buy zone, that 10-20 period moving average, nice setup candles, and then back off to new highs. We're just getting another pullback right into here. We got that nice pullback basically all the way back to the 20 period moving average, right in the middle of the buy zone. Nice setup candle. We just need a break of the high of that candle on the weekly chart here, which would be 153, almost 153.8 at 153.795. And once we get a break of that, then we should be at least back up to new highs, if not ready to put in another high. And as you can see on the daily chart, nice uptrend, all the moving averages in order, the 200, the 50, the 20, the 10, and we just had a little lower high, lower low scenario on this pullback right back into this level. Almost hit that right on the nose, and you can see that a little better here on the weekly chart, right back into this level. Still have a higher low than we had previously right here, and then obviously higher lows previous to these here. So got that nice bounce off there, got a nice rejection candle on the daily chart, and if we can break up through the high of the weekly candle at that 153.8 level, then that'll put us basically the 20 and the 10 period moving average back in the appropriate order, and then moving along upward with the price action. So things looking pretty bullish here on the pound yen. Let's see if on the lower time frames there's anything closer. Just looking at some of the lower time frames, like the 15-minute, trending up. You got a nice little flat level there with 2 touches. Looks like nice small candles trending up into that level. So it could be a breakout there in the direction of the higher time frame trend. So you might be able to look at that with the 15 and the 5-minute chart, or the 15 and the 30-minute chart. But that'll be a pretty quick trade. The longer term move here is really on the weekly charts. Keep a lookout for that level right around 153.8. And if we get a break at that level, looks like we might be putting in a new high here, and things look pretty bullish for the pound yen. So there's the outlook for the markets this week, the week of June 10th. And would like to thank you all for watching the Open Cry market commentary. And we do look forward to speaking to you next week on the market update.